to welcome you to San Luis Obispo County's International Day of the Midwife celebration. As the president of the Birth and Baby Resource Network, I would like to extend a special welcome to our midwives. Some of you live here in San Luis Obispo. Others may have come home just for this special day. All of them have traveled far as midwives and women. Thank you all very much for coming. And thank you all the rest of you here, for taking time out from your busy lives to gather on this very special day as we make San Luis Obispo history with the very first International Day of the Midwife celebration. This is the International Day of the Midwife, which has been celebrated since 1992 from Afghanistan to Switzerland and South Sudan to Australia, and now finally in San Luis Obispo. As we celebrate, there are women, families, and midwives celebrating with us from New Zealand to Ghana. Why are they celebrating? Because midwives save lives. Around the world, every year, 48 million women risk their lives giving birth without a skilled attendant. The tragic result? 350,000 women die from preventable maternal causes, and 800,000 newborns die during the birth process. This is why the International Confederation of Midwives says that every woman around the globe should have access to midwifery care. The World Health Organization knows midwives are critical to reach their Millennium Development Goal. So who has put out the call? Their goal? 350,000 more midwives working around the world. Why? Because midwives save lives. American midwives are being recognized for their work around the world. 2011 was a banner year for American midwives. Ina May Gaskin, America's premier midwife, earned Sweden's Right Livelihood Award, and Robin Lim was named CNN's Hero of the Year for her work with women and families in Indonesia. Now it's our turn. We are here today to honor our community's midwives, past and present, those working in health clinics, OB offices, birth centers, and homes. Whether their work is helping a frightened 13-year-old girl who needs birth control, a college student afraid she has an STD, or helping a frightened mother carrying twins desperate to avoid a surgical birth. They are important to the women of San Luis Obispo. We know we can turn to them for help, and they will support us, counsel us, and guide us through. Never before in our county have they been formally recognized together as a group of women, working for women and their families, and I am proud to have led the Birth and Baby Resource Network in creating this historic event. As both a consumer who chose to birth with certified nurse midwives and a doula, I have had a unique opportunity to watch these women work, both from the inside and from a distance, from the personal and the professional. I have a unique perspective. When I thought about what I wanted to say today, I asked myself the question, what is it about midwives that separates them from other care providers and unites them as a group? The answer that came to me was space holders. Midwives are space holders. In birth literature, out in the birth blogosphere, this idea of holding sacred space is often brought up, but usually in the context of birth energy, and most often they are talking about birth at home. But I see midwives as space holders in a broader sense. Midwives hold a space in a clinic office when an overwhelmed mother tearily confides she doesn't know what she'll do if she's pregnant again, or confides she's being abused. Midwives hold a space during a prenatal visit when a pregnant mom feels safe enough to tell her midwife she's afraid her boyfriend will leave her and the baby, or embarrassedly confesses there's no food at home. Midwives hold a space for moms birthing in hospitals. I know my midwife, Nora Lewis, held a space for me for 5 hours against tremendous odds. After 2 hours of pushing and 0 progress, I had not budged my son's head a bit. The expected thing for her to do was tell me I had to have a cesarean. Instead, Nora held a space for me. Together, through many difficult decisions and hard work, she held that space for me. She held that space as political pressure from fear and the specter of lawsuits walked the halls of the hospital outside my door. She held that space. And when we were done, I was able to say, look at what I did. Not, look at what they did to me. For the rest of my life, I will be free. Midwives hold a space at home births. It is the space of normalcy and family and intimacy and power. But the most important space a midwife holds at home is an empty space. It's the space she creates waiting for the mother to step into her own power as a woman, to realize she can listen to and trust her own body's instincts and rhythms. This space impacts women for the rest of their lives because when a woman births, she births a baby and she births a mother. Midwives hold space. Recently, I traveled to Sacramento to attend a California Medical Board Interested Parties workshop. The large room where they usually hold these panels was full to overflowing. They had to open a second room to accommodate all the midwives. Midwives came from San Diego County and midwives came from Trinity County. There were young midwives full of energy, hope, and enthusiasm, like the African-American midwife who just opened a birth center in LA for low-income families. And there were older midwives. I was most impressed by these older midwives. Together, they represent an accumulated wisdom about women and birth that should be considered a national treasure. After all, what could be more important to humans than the knowledge of how to safely and naturally perpetuate the species? On top of that, these women carry with them an institutional wisdom built up over years of fighting for their rights as providers of care for women and fighting for the rights of all the women of this state to be able to choose where and with whom they will birth. They are still fighting. It is a David and Goliath fight. The powerful insurance companies, medical establishment, and governmental regulations on one side, and a group of determined midwives on the other. My money is on the midwives. Speaking of money, I'd like to tell you a startling fact I uncovered 2 years ago. I was putting together a packet of information for Congresswoman Capps with the help of several other women in the community. I chose certified nurse midwife Sandy Rodriguez to put a human face onto our discussion and to represent the difference midwifery care makes to our community. When we penciled out the dollars and cents Sandy had saved our county's families over the 26 years of providing quality maternity care, an amazing number appeared. Sandy has an 8% cesarean section rate, which is dead on target for the World Health Organization's recommended rate of between 5 to 10%. Comparing this rate to the 20% rate where our hospitals traditionally hover, she has saved families between $12.3 and $24.7 million. But the human cost is better represented by the fact that she personally, one midwife, holding a space, saved between 300 and 600 women from undergoing major abdominal surgery during one of life's most important rites of passage. Now I'd like all the midwives to please join me up on stage. Together, these women represent 40 years of dedicated service to the women and families of San Luis Obispo County and thousands of babies safely born into their capable, gentle hands. Join me in applauding these wonderful women. These women deserve to be raised back to the position of respect within our culture they once held in the United States. I hope today is one more step along that path in history. I'd like to read a letter from someone who wishes she could be here today but had a prior commitment. She's a retired nurse and a mother who also just happens to be our representative in the United States Congress, Congresswoman Lois Katz. Dear friends, I'm so pleased to be able to extend warm greetings to all who have gathered for the 16th Annual Birth and Baby Fair. While I cannot be there with you in person, please know I am with you in spirit. Bringing a new life into the world can be the most profound moment of a woman's life. Our community is so fortunate to have an organization like the Birth and Baby Resource Network, as well as so many additional partners and advocates committed to empowering and supporting childbearing women and their families. It is notable that this year's Birth and Baby Fair coincides with the International Day of the Midwife. Midwives are a part of one of the most significant moments that a family experiences. They take on the sacred mission of ensuring the safe and healthy start of each new life they deliver and protect our mothers in the process. But although they are integral contributors to numerous births, advocates for their clients and profession, and tireless servants to our communities, midwives are rarely recognized as the community champions that they truly are. It is no wonder that the World Health Organization put out a call for scaling up and accelerating midwifery services worldwide. As a nurse, I'm honored to call midwives colleagues, and as a member of Congress, I am honored to represent and be the voice of our community's medical professionals in our nation's capital. Thank you all for your work, commitment, and for being a part of this wonderful event. Sincerely, Lois Katz.